Hey guys, how y'all doing? Welcome back to the channel. My name's David and I fix RVs. Today is Sunday and I've got the day off, so I want to go ahead and use my spare time to finally finish assembling this portable Dewalt power station. Let's get started. The thing that I did to this box was I installed this battery post. I know I've called it a terminal in previous videos. This is actually a battery post. And because this box is so tiny, practically microscopic. I mean, I have very little room in here. Taking measurements was critical. As you can see, this post is just, barely fits. I couldn't even really go further away because, as you can see on the outside, this is almost at the very edge, and I wouldn't have been able to get my washer on, so I had to take very precise measurements to get that installed where it is, and I have to do the exact same thing on the other side of the box. I've already got all my measurements out there. I'm going to use a unibit to drill that hole now. I've got my fingers crossed. I'm really hoping that this works out because, like I say, we do not have a whole lot of space inside of this box. If I were to start over, I would use a different box. All of the parts for this build are in the description except for the box, and that's why the box is not in the description. This box just isn't big enough. I think I'm going to be able to get everything into it, but just barely. It's going to be difficult. Okay, I've got the second battery post installed. It was a tight fit just like the other side. Very sketchy. Now let's see if the battery is going to fit. Barely, but there it is. We got it in there. Next I'm going to do something that I should have done sooner, and that is to heat up the sticker on the box with this heat gun and get it off of my box. The sticker's really on here. This is what it looks like with the covers. And now I do have some, or at least a decent amount of space here in the middle section. I didn't want to put my battery terminals too close to each other though, so I put them on the outside of the box in those tight spaces. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install this amp slash voltmeter switch here on the left. Then I'm going to install a switch to turn this terminal on right after that, and then we will wire everything up and this box will finally be finished. I've taken a couple of measurements and I can see that on the right side of the box, the battery comes to here, and on the left side of the box, the battery will reach to here. And then my converter, the top of the converter is right about there, so I'm going to have to put my next two devices in right here in this space. And it looks like this is the perfect location for my volt amp meter. As far as switches go, when you're shopping, you have a couple of choices. We've got these guys here, which actually, I do like these, but they take up a lot more space inside of the box than this. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this. If I could have found a volt amp meter that was about that size, which is impossible. I mean, they would never be able to do that. I would have done that with the volt amp meter as well, but this is what we're going to be using. It's the same volt amp meter that you guys saw me bench test in a previous video. I bench tested this volt amp meter with my CL800 Klein meter, and this cheap Amazon meter was very accurate. This other meter is pretty close, 1.31, 1.28. It's kind of bouncing around, but this meter without a shunt actually looks to be pretty accurate. Just kind of notching my hole a little bit before I get started with putting the unibit on it. My meter is 1 7/8 down from the top, so I've done the same here for my switch. This hole is going to be a lot smaller. And I used fingernail polish remover to get rid of the Sharpie marks that were on the box up here. The only thing left to do is to wire up these devices that we just finished installing. So I finished wiring this box up. I got a kind of a big mess of wires here in the center. It's not pretty, but I promise it will work. If this were a bigger box, I definitely would have used a fuse panel. That would have been a lot nicer. Enough room to drop in some batteries. There's one there. Drop another one in over there. So now with the batteries installed and this switch in the off position, we have no voltage on the Klein meter. Let's turn this on here. And now we have 19.82 volts. These two terminals here will allow me to add a third battery into the mix. So now we've got 3 batteries paralleled together, and that's just so that if these batteries start to get weak here, I can just add this into the system and quickly charge those 2 batteries. Because I don't want this terminal to be live all the time, I added a switch, so as long as this switch is off, this terminal is dead. Plus we've got these caps that came with it. These are pretty nice. And let me flip the box around. So over on the other side of the box we've got these 2 switches. This switch turns this outlet on and this switch turns that outlet on. Now, as you guys know, I did install this volt amp meter. Unfortunately, I had to put it on the other side of the box. There was, you guys saw me do that. There's nowhere on this side of the box to put the meter. You just turn the switch on the other side of the box, and there we go. Now we've got a volt meter and an amp meter. And I've tied the volt amp meter into this left switch only. This right switch will not read volts or amps. So now this allows me to power up 12 volt appliances or anything that runs off of 12 volts anytime I need to. Okay guys, be sure not to miss my next video when we learn together how long this Dewalt Power Stack battery can run a 12 volt RV furnace. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.